None of this matters.
But Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, too long, Marcia Fudge, is stepping down after the President's Chief of Staff on Thursday said there'd be no more turnover. Kinda fudged yourself with the timing, huh? Reddit wants to go public and hopes to be worth just under $6.5 billion. But with the meme subreddit Wall Street Bets, I can't help but guess it'll be closer to 6. The Secretary of Agriculture was at the National Farmers Union Convention in Arizona to promote a voluntary Made in USA label, boring, and to grant nearly $10 million to expand the local meat capacity. Less boring. And his last name has sack in it. Now that's wonderful. In New Hampshire, Biden visited a YMCA and bragged about insulin being $35, saying, "We finally beat Big Pharma." Sir, I don't know if you know this, seeing as you're only 81 with reflux, but there is more than one drug that Big Pharma owns, right? The chiefs of the spy agencies that we're allowed to know about were in Congress this afternoon, begging to continue U.S. domination over the globe. See, we want to do more war, guys, but we need to do it smartly, or our friends will go play with the other guy. After losing a game of chicken to the Chicago mayor and buying a suburban horse track that's more trouble than it's worth, the Chicago Bears franchise is running back with their tail between their legs and asking for public funding to bulldoze the current stadium, which is also publicly owned and well kept, and based off the season ending with 7-10, not your biggest issue. Today it was announced that Muhammad Ali will be inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame. Now, how many of you knew he wrestled once 50 years ago? I'd hazard a guess that the number of people is roughly the same number of years. Dolly Parton said recently that she thinks Beyonce's upcoming country album will include a cover of Jolene. Don't tease us, love. You wrote the bitch. You know damn well if the greatest cover since Nina Simone's Feeling Good is... Business Insider reported that Lil Wayne told the government that his company, Young Money Touring, was a drug-free workplace. And they believed him. And they gave him $10 million. That, or the person looking over this nigga's paperwork, smoked the same strain as whoever filled it out. Lastly, the New York Times found that Elon Musk's, that felt disgusting, I agree, charity was half the time benefiting himself. That story again. Rich person convinced themselves their untaxed hedge fund was going to help the world. Until some debts came due. But that's about all the interesting stuff. You good though? But President Joe Biden met with Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk and President Duda. And yes, I will address the elephant in the room. I didn't even try to say Duda's first name. Joe Biden's event coordination team leaders were reportedly assholes, allegedly calling their subordinates pieces of shit and worthless, before having to resign. Now look who's worthless. Open Society Foundations, the company I hope you don't know from the George Soros conspiracies, has announced its current president, who used to be the UN Deputy Secretary General and Vice President of the World Bank, is stepping aside for a Punjabi from Kenya. Okay, maybe the Great Replacement Theory has a point. Steph Curry, you know, from basketball, was asked if he would run for president one day and said, quote, "If politics is a way that you can create meaningful change," damn, hit that shot from a different arena. Boeing whistleblower John Barnett was found dead of apparent suicide. That story again, journalist cherishes his life and doesn't look further. The Uvalde police chief is resigning for the thing. And at 22 months, he waited only a little bit longer than the 500 officers. In Wales, England's Siamese twin, a mysterious monolith suddenly appeared. Gotta be honest though, I don't think the Plaid Cymru party cares about the black vote. A Florida county that banned books featuring queer characters sheepishly unbanned them as part of a settlement that's essentially the "don't say we said don't say gay" bill. Joe Mixon will be going from the Cincinnati Bengals to the Minnesota Timberwolves. mixing things up for the AFC South Shams. Lastly, an early twist to the recurring bit Swifties Scare Me, Taylor Swift & Co. called off a promo shoot for her Disney Plus debut at the Hollywood Center after neighbors complained about being disturbed. This has been Rich People Scare Me More. That's about all the interesting stuff. You good though? It was revealed that dozens of companies, including Ford and Tesla, pay their executives more than they pay in taxes in a new report that's not just called Yeah Duh. Follow me here. An 80-year-old man smuggled parts of a very endangered, like 3 times illegal, 300-pound sheep from Kyrgyzstan to Montana. Then he made 165 embryos from that shit. Put those bitches into his local Montana sheep to hopefully recreate the rare sheep. Montana boredom must hit different. Actually, I'm not done. The 80-year-old Montana man did successfully get one Marco Polo Argali sheep to be born and named it Montana Mountain King. And then used Montana Mountain King to breed hybrids. And then sold those hybrids to unnamed rich people to use to hunt. Montana boredom must hit different? Goldman Sachs, after fucking around and finding out that everyone knows they're too elitist to bank peasant money with Marcus, a real name for an app that lost them $3 billion, are returning to betting on property. There's no way that'll go wrong. It's time to panic. The Ivory Coast is running out of the beans for our chocolate. Wait, what was last quarter's profits? Never mind. I'm sure the bean rust disease or whatever won't affect next year's crop like it has for 3 years. In St. Louis, Olivia Rodrigo held a concert and gave out emergency contraceptives with local advocacy groups because the BDE you emit after a ballad like Vampire will get a bitch pregnant otherwise. Putin was asked by state media if his country was ready for nuclear war and said, "We have them with us all the time, constantly in a state of combat readiness." No shit, nigga, so are we. That's the whole point of mutually assured destruction. We stay strapped, except we don't have to say it. Martin Selmayr, a name I'd have paid no attention to if not for his nicknames, will be the EU ambassador to the Vatican, the Order of Malta, and the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations. That's right, the Dark Cardinal, the monster of Berlaymont, will descend upon Rome and exact his exile. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen, who in 2021 thought inflation was transitory, and the only woman on the planet that could enact UBI, was in Kentucky promoting Bidenomics with a subsidized pair of Ford EV battery plants on I-65, while Ford, among many others, announced they're slowing their EV transitions by 20 years. Damn it, Janet. We can't all have a good trans radar. Lastly, it was revealed that oil and gas companies emit up to 3 times the amount of greenhouse gases than the government has been estimating, because apparently we don't have exact numbers, in a new report that's not just called Yeah Duh. That's about all the interesting stuff. You good though? Education Secretary Miguel Cardona was in Massachusetts promoting CTE. Trade school, not football. SpaceX did its 3rd attempt at the Starship test earlier today, and successfully made it to space this time, but didn't finish as it burned on re-entry. Damn, blue balls and space chlamydia? Poor Elon. In England, the inventor of Bitcoin was told once again in a different court that he isn't the inventor, because a white guy in tech admitting to creating a fake Asian name like Satoshi Nakamoto isn't believable. In Africa, which is over 50 different countries and not one amorphous state, an internet outage across no less than 10 countries is being caused by 3 sea cables. The ACE cable, the main one, which isn't the main one, which is the West Africa cable system, which isn't all 3 of them. In New York, a dozen wind turbines started producing power for 70,000 off the coast of Long Island. That also means ruining the view of people who live in the Hamptons. So, a win-win. Citgo, which is communist apparently, owes $21.3 billion, and for our sake needs to not overdose on coke. It was announced that Dua Lipa, Coldplay, and SZA would be headlining a music festival in the UK. And one of these things is not like the others. It's the black. Japan's Nippon Steel is buying US Steel, the reason you know the name Andrew Carnegie. But Biden's a bit moody over it, saying it's vital for it to remain an American company. Okay, boomer. Bad Bunny sued a fan who uploaded bootleg video of his concert his tour kickoff in Utah. Salt Lake City, apparently being 20% Hispanic, is more known for having a certain different kind of a minority. Lastly, MatPat gave a post-retirement interview to Variety. There's no jokes here. Just go give it a read. But that's about all the interesting stuff. You good though? The Ohio Senate Republican primary revealed that the Trump-backed anti-queer rights guy made an adult friend finder account in 2008 for gay sex. This campaign blamed it on a prank from a former intern, and it'll probably work, because their typical voter's memory is apparently Swiss cheese. A closeted homosexual in the grand old party? My word, I've never heard anything so galling before in my life. It can't possibly be true. Fani Willis can continue her trial in Atlanta against Trump, as long as she fires her boyfriend, with the judge stating that Georgia law does not permit the finding of an actual conflict for simply making bad choices, even repeatedly, and it is the trial court's duty to contain itself. And if you thought that was shade, wait till the judge has to write why he's dismissing her case against Young Thug. You know how Texas Governor Greg Abbott has been busing migrants from the border to the communist open border cities outside the well-established and organized ways to intentionally overwhelm city workers just doing their jobs? Of course you don't. It was over a year ago, and the media doesn't remember that when talking about the migrant crisis today. So why should you? Well, good news, Texans. He spent only $150 million of your tax money that didn't go to improving your not Cancun electrical grid. Apple will pay $500 million for lying to investors about the iPhone selling well in China. That's like 2 days' profit. It's like getting a coffee for them. Or the whole damn Starbucks. Uber and Lyft are stomping their feet and putting over 10,000 gig workers, out of a job in Minneapolis because they have to pay drivers $15.57 an hour, and a national reminder that the minimum wage still isn't even $15, which also isn't enough anymore. Thanks, Obama. Germany is on track to reach its 2030 climate targets, while California, which is historically slightly more left-leaning, needs to triple the emissions cuts to reach theirs. Also, Manifest Destiny is a truly funny thing because California is bigger than Germany, by Belgium and the Netherlands combined, but America is not an empire. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire, the sequel to the soft reboot of the hard reboot of the original trilogy, partnered with the fire department of New York to promote fire safety. See, all you do is have an Italian cabbie renounce Catholicism, dabble in witchcraft, and summon the ghost of Elsa. The Philadelphia Eagles acquired 2022 first-round draft quarterback Kenny Pickett from the Pittsburgh Steelers, which, let's be honest, Pittsburgh isn't real. I had to double-check if the Steelers weren't originally somewhere else. In the UK, people are rallying against a racist donor to the Conservative Party after it was revealed he said that 70-year-old Diane Abbott, a black member of parliament more known as Auntie D, would be shot. Even the Prime Minister, Rishi Sunak, said it was racist and wrong. He won't return the money, though. It's $13 million. Lastly, Oprah revealed she keeps a whole octopus in her fridge for her partner to eat at all times. And that her partner is the Thing from the Del Toro Fishfucker movie. But that's about all the interesting stuff. You good, though?